Join the battle to defend science. Get your copy of my book today. Candace Owens is an idiot. I had to see another video for it to be proven. That Candace Owens video I did a week ago, that is by far my most popular video I've ever made by like 10,000 views, which is great, but of course YouTube demonetized it, or they limited monetization. I requested a review, so we'll see if it holds, because YouTube doesn't actually give you a reason for limiting revenue on a video. Unless you have them review it, once the review is complete, then they give you a reason. Isn't that insane? You can have monetization stripped without being given a reason, no due process or anything. If you think that's crazy. My video, The Great Emu War, that got absolutely slaughtered in the view count, and I didn't understand why at all. And it also had its the ability to monetize restricted, and I was like, why? So I had that one reviewed. I did get the results back for that one. You're not going to believe this. I need to be careful here, because if I say why, then there's a chance this one could get the revenue stripped from it, which I don't want. So I'll have to be creative here. YouTube said that the Great Emu War video exploited, dismissed, or condoned this. I transcribed the video. At no point ever did anybody say a word associated with that or anything that could loosely be associated with that. It's as if YouTube was like, yeah, take the ad revenue away from this video. Oh shit, he asked for a reason? Just say that. I'm not making that up. I will post a screenshot of that to my Instagram so you can see it for sure. YouTube, can you get it together? I'm trying to build an empire here. My original theory about Candace was that she's just so anti-establishment that she will just not believe whatever the establishment says, whether it's the government, whether it's public education, or whether it's science. So I called her an ironic sheep because they accuse us of blindly believing whatever science, the government, that's your religion. But when science and the government say things that are true, they just automatically don't believe them. They're the ones that are actually controlled by those things. Whatever they say, they do the opposite. A lot of people commented that she's just simply grifting, and I honestly don't believe that she isn't genuine in all the stuff she believes, but I didn't think it was really that she was dumb. I thought she was just mistrusting everything that they said. Then I ran across this. You can watch this on her channel. It's not a video, it's in the live tab. That's the only place you can find it. And after listening to this, it's very clear that she's so much dumber than I thought. And she has conspiracy brain almost like I've never seen before, like Alex Jones level conspiracy brain. And another thing I didn't realize was how much of a fundamentalist Christian she is. As I've discussed so many times, when you wrap your entire identity around that, these people rant and rave about identity politics, and then they're the most guilty of it. Anything that challenges that is attacking your soul, your essence, and a secular government and science undermine, I guess, a lot of ideas in Christianity. She cries about the Olympic thing in here. We're not going over that. You can look into it if you want. And so it's not as simple as, well, I disagree or I think you're incorrect. No, ideas that challenge what you've wrapped your entire existence around are not just incorrect, they are morally wrong and dangerous. And so Candace has elevated herself to knighthood. She is in a cosmic battle of good versus evil. And so she has to believe anything and make anything up and be motivated to gin up explanations for things that make no sense, that are always... You'll see.
Could you imagine just like the story of man here? Like it just really, we have a creator, right? We have a Bible that tells us the story of exactly what happened. And then it takes
exactly what happened. There was exactly a Tower of Babel that people were building, and when everything came tumbling down, all the humans and Humpty Dumpty scattered around and they couldn't understand each other anymore. That actually happened. An exodus of so many people that they could have lined up 4 people wide and gone from where they left to the promised land in a single file line. Yet somehow they wandered the desert for 40 years and left literally no trace behind at all. Of course, she's not unique in taking this ultra literalist perspective or whatever, but it's just funny to mocking science and saying my crappy old book is literally what happened.
Takes some modern Satanists to come around and to convince you that actually you're from an ape.
Yep. So it's not, well, we found the scientific evidence. I mean, we had some ideas and predictions, but we allowed the evidence to just simply, we were receptive of it. And you don't decide if the evidence convinces you in a major way, as long as your brain is working right and as long as you're not brainwashed by something. The evidence really can't tell you anything other than what the truth is. But no, what happened is they were Satanists. Satan appears 37 times in this video. Devil appears 13 times in this video. Jesus, only 6. And Christ, Christian, or Christianity occurs 62 times. They seem to not grasp the idea that scientists have evidence for these things. They just simply claim, oh, we made it all up. No, we didn't make up the Australopithecus fossils. We didn't make up genetics. We didn't make any of that stuff up. You know what is made up? The stories in the Old and New Testament.
No, like they're like, this is science. It's science, guys. You
Trust the science. Or Candace, we could go with your favorite.
And look up Jack Parsons of NASA. Okay? I mean, just on his Wikipedia, because this stuff is hiding in plain sight. Wikipedia, and you can look this up on your Wikipedia. And then as you scroll through his Wikipedia, you're going to learn.
I can kind of understand that how the mantra of trust the science can seem a little bit dorky, and science has gotten things wrong before. But science is like the roulette wheel. You know how a roulette wheel has that one green space on it? Trust of the science is like going to a roulette wheel and betting not green. Now, I'm like certain you can't do that. I'm pretty sure you can't do that. You have to either pick a number or say black or red. But anyways, let's say that you can. Let's say you do that. You go to the roulette wheel and you bet not green. Candace is the person like standing next to the table that's always going, hey, yeah, trust red and black because we know that always works, doesn't it? If you want to have the greatest odds of being correct, then yeah, pick not green or go with the science.
Come from apes. You were an Australopithecus, and then you were like, oh, and then one day you started walking erect, Homo erectus. You started walking around, and now you can speak. And the chimps are still here, and you share a DNA with them. You come from monkeys.
You share a DNA with them. You can't say something like that and have any clue what you're talking about. This reminds me of that time I debated that guy who apparently was a medical doctor, and I kind of believe him. And he had all these ideas and beliefs about the Big Bang and how the Big Bang is like impossible or it doesn't work or something. And I can't remember what he said, but he phrased something in such a stupid way, something about like basic physics, in such a stupid way that I said, okay, you're very obviously a charlatan and a fraud, because nobody that has a very basic understanding of it would say that. And you're claiming to like know something that most people don't. He got so upset when I did that. When that all started, it didn't sound that bad because she was talking about the Australopithecus, the Homo erectus, and like obviously she doesn't believe it. But she wasn't exactly straw manning it in the dumbest way imaginable. But then she said the chimps, we have a DNA with the chimps, and she repeated the if we come from monkeys, why are there still monkeys thing there. So just a fundamental, complete non-understanding of any of it. You know, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. How about if you don't know anything about something, maybe shut the fuck up. I used to say that, so I still do say this. Sometimes I'll tell people, you know negative things about blank because everything you know is incorrect. And I remember I said that one time many years ago, and a student of mine said, oh yeah, that's a Ronald Reagan quote. And I was like, ugh, what? And then, you can see this clip of Ronald Reagan, and he says something to the effect of, the problem with my Democratic colleagues is not that they know so little, but so much of what they know is wrong.
And there are people that believe that because trust the science, right? They polluted our bodies every single day. We understand this. We're literally being mass poisoned.
I mean, I'm kind of with you there that there have been, due to corruption and like government cover-ups, like what happened in Flint, Michigan. A lot of people don't know about what's been happening in Kalamazoo. I can't remember what it is, but there's this plant, and it's in this pretty poor, predominantly black neighborhood. And there have been thousands of, well, not thousands, I think it's a little over 1,000, like premature deaths in black infants in that neighborhood next to this factory. And it's very obvious and very clear that it has something to do with this factory polluting the air and everything. And, you know, like what happened in East Palestine, that's another good example. So do we have a point of agreement?
By the same government that is rinsing the population with this atheism.
Nope. I don't think she meant like actual pollution. But then again, we do know for a fact that her position is we shouldn't care about the environment at all.
This atheist ideology, while convincing people to believe in themselves. You can be your own God. We're now at a point where science is instructing children.
Why do people say, Kent Hovind says this so many times in that dissertation of his I've been going over, that believing in science, when you do that, you elevate yourself to a God status and you start worshiping yourself. Why do people say that? It's very weird because I hear it a lot. Does everybody somehow come to that same conclusion and argument? Or does this originate somewhere? I'm not really sure. And it's really odd because I know, and I've heard so many people that believe in God that think that they're not resistant to the facts that science teaches us because they believe that science unveils God's creation before them. And so they just think it's all beautiful, but I don't know, you get some dopey conspiracy brain person like Candace, and they just simply can't believe that there's anything okay with this. Pretty much the rest of this video is her talking about how all the powerful people in the world are actually transgenders and they're like manipulating and trying to like poison and kill and eat our children and stupid shit like that. She goes on and on and on about the Franks or the Frankists, which is like some group of people born out of the French Revolution or whatever. I don't get, this is a skill. It's a terrible skill, but I don't understand how somebody can talk for an hour and 6 minutes uninterrupted and just spew this nonsense. I know what I'm talking about most of the time, and it'd be really hard for me to speak uninterrupted and not at least like take some pauses to reflect and think. And maybe that's because I'm wise enough to stop at some points, but she just clearly isn't. I don't understand how people can do this. I'm going to let her talk for about a minute and a half, and I'll try not to interrupt very much, but just listen to the way she does this stream of consciousness stuff and just links conspiracies together. It's insane.
This peace descended over me because I realized that everything they have done has been about disrupting Christ, about dividing the church. They have deluded people, and that is why it is so relevant for you to know that Sigmund Freud, the father of psychoanalysis, basically, I learned that you could delude and trick people via psychology. That is why they love him. That is why he is taught as a hero, because he was a frankist, okay? He worshipped, as that person points out in that book, which you should read, he worshipped the Kabbalah, and he gave them a gift in the form of understanding how weak our psyche is, right? That you could quite literally convince people not to believe their own eyes. Modern society was born because of that. And then you realize, again, speaking about how they were always in positions of power, that Edward...
Modern society was born out of psychoanalysts who worshipped the Kabbalah, which is like some book on Jewish mysticism or whatever, controlling people. That's where modern society has nothing to do with technology or anything like that.
Edward Bernays, his nephew, became the father of propaganda in America.
That's very true. And I write a pretty long piece about Edward Bernays in my next upcoming book. So point of agreement.
The guy who credits himself with convincing Americans to eat breakfast. It wasn't even, weren't even eating breakfast, convincing Americans to eat breakfast.
That's not what he did. He convinced Americans to eat a certain type of breakfast.
All you needed is the right propaganda campaign, and you can convince Americans to do anything, including to murder Christians all around the world.
and then it goes to that. Americans have been convinced to murder Christians all around the world.
Because that is what is happening, whether you are aware of it or not.
Is it?
Christians are being slaughtered all around the world.
Are they? I mean, I wouldn't doubt that groups like, ISIS or whatever, which has lost its relevancy as far as I know, have done that, but
that is what you have to recognize. It has been a war against Christianity since the beginning of time, okay? This is about countering Christ.
I'm pretty sure you take the Uyghurs and the Palestinians alone, and I would bet money that what's happened to them is fivefold, at least, greater than whatever has been happening to Christians all around the world.
Intentionally, if you are sitting this and you're watching this today and you are saying, no, I think I'm an atheist, then the psychology worked on you. It worked on you. Frankist psychology worked on you.
I've never read anything by Sigmund Freud, and I'm not entertaining it. Who are the Frankists? Let's find out.
And yes, to people watching this, please, that are French, Marie Antoinette, her mother, Empress, the real story of the French Revolution is a Frankist tale. Okay, the Frankists were behind the French Revolution. The Frankists were behind the Russian Revolution. Okay, it was the Frankists and believed in this, who orchestrated wanting to bring down Christian empires. And it is the Frankists who are bringing down America. And that is my belief. And again, I will provide you with actual books from historians, actually.
Would Candace Owens have been a loyalist? I feel like Candace Owens would have just been another Benedict Arnold. You do get the feeling that these people want a dictatorial absolute ruler who claims that the legitimacy of their position was granted by God or whatever, which is exactly what we fought our revolution to end. You get the feeling that they claim to be the real patriotic ones. They're the real Americans. And yet it's almost as if they stand against everything about the inception of our government. Here she's reading some audience comments or questions, whatever, that have been submitted.
This person writes, God bless you. Please be careful. Joan Rivers got killed for exposing Michelle Obama, the Hollywood secret. I appreciate that. I also know that if they want to kill you, they will. I mean, that's the truth. And that's a sad thing to say, but at least you'll know who did it. It was the Frankists.
So I looked up this Joan Rivers thing. Apparently Joan Rivers made a joke about Michelle Obama actually being a man. Pretty disgusting and stupid. And she died the same year that she made that joke. And, Hillary Clinton, Obama, the DNC, the media, whatever, apparently had her killed. That's the thing. And Candace just goes along with it. And she just says, they'll kill you. Candace, one example. Like literally just one example.
It's time for everyone to get properly educated outside of what you've learned in your textbooks. Everything you learned is essentially a fairy tale.
Yeah. Real fairy tales aren't fairy tales. Science is a fairy tale.
Fairy tale, okay? This has been and will forever be a holy war. Okay, so you got to decide whether you're team God or whether you're team Satan.
You literally cannot do something with somebody that thinks this way. It's impossible. She's beyond reproach. She's beyond education. She's beyond saving.
But to Barbara, talking about how that can veer into conspiracy, there are people who believe that she's Aleister Crowley's son because obviously her mother, after he got kicked out.
Yeah, Barbara Bush is Aleister Crowley's son? Barbara Bush was a woman, so I'm not sure what she's talking about.
From having this sexual ritual where somebody died and Mussolini kicked him out. Yes, it is true. She was with him at a certain time, and then she became pregnant with Barbara Bush. But there'd be no way to factually say that she's definitively his child. There's no way that you could say that definitively outside of that being a confession that came from the Bush family themselves.
Barbara Bush is Aleister Crowley's daughter. Well, I'm ready to say it. Candace, you're an idiot.